Hey everybody, welcome to our channel Live in Richmond, Virginia, where we show you exactly what it's like to live, work, eat, and play right here in RVA. In this video, I'm going to go over all the things you should know about buying a home in Richmond, and I'm going to focus on everything you might find weird, especially if you're from out of the state. Be sure to stay to the end because I'll go over the Richmond home buying process from start to finish. If this is your first time to our channel, welcome. I'm Taylor Jefferson, and my wife Sarah and I own and operate Jefferson Grove Real Estate. We've helped tons of families relocate to Richmond, and if you're thinking about doing the same, be sure to download our free Richmond relocation guide. It's full of useful information all about Richmond and the surrounding areas. The link's in the comments below and on our banner image. If you haven't done so already, you have to subscribe to our channel because every week we'll be posting new videos all about living in Richmond, including best neighborhoods, area tours, pros and con lists, and more. Now, with all that being said, let's dive into today's video. So, in talking to all of our relocation clients, we hear some stories from them that sound crazy to us, and we just can't believe them. But we know that everything's relative, right? So we put ourselves in your shoes and thought about what might seem weird to you about the home buying process here in Richmond. Because what's normal for us here in RVA might be very different than what you have experienced if you bought a home in a different area before. So here in Virginia, we are a buyer beware state. What that means is that the seller is required to disclose incredibly little. We have a 3-page form that outlines everything they aren't required to disclose, which pretty much states they don't tell you jack. The point of this form is to make sure you as a buyer are aware that you should get a home inspection, and it might prompt you to look into other things like a flood map, crime statistics, etc. I created a link to the form in the video description below, so if you want to give it a read yourself, you can. So there is another big difference here in Richmond versus other areas, and it's the earnest money deposit. In Richmond, the earnest money deposit is customarily 1% of the purchase price of the home, but in certain situations it can be more or less. Now in states like North Carolina, I've heard that the seller holds on to it, and in some cases it's non-refundable, which sounds crazy to me. Here in RVA, your earnest money deposit is held in escrow by either your real estate broker or by your closing attorney. And it isn't due until a few days after you have a ratified contract, meaning everyone's agreed to all the terms and signed off on the purchase agreement. The EMD counts towards your total cash to close, meaning your down payment plus your closing cost. What is the fate of the EMD if you back out of the contract? Well, so long as you terminate the purchase agreement contractually, you'll get a full refund. But if you terminate the contract and you didn't have a cause to do so, then the seller could keep your deposit. I definitely like those terms better than it isn't refundable and the seller keeps it anyway. Another thing that might be different here in Richmond versus where you live is that all the terms of the purchase are negotiated up front at time of submitting an offer. This includes what type of loan you will use, your down payment percentage, the amount of your earnest money deposit, when you'll do your home inspection by, and what day you'll close on, and who your settlement company is. Now, you can change some things after the fact with an addendum, but again, most of the terms of the contract are negotiated up front before you even do a home inspection. Now, depending on what area you're from, you may have heard the term due diligence, and that usually involves everything related to inspecting the home. Well, here in Richmond, you don't do any inspections of the property until after you're under contract. Part of the purchase agreement states when you will perform your inspection by, which is called your inspection deadline. During that window, you can do any and all inspections you want/need to do. We always start with a thorough home inspector, and they can tell you if you need any specialists like a structural engineer, a mold remediation company, or an HVAC technician to come out and evaluate anything of concern. Once you do the home inspection, you then submit the home inspection report along with your repair or credit request to the seller. This kicks off a new window of time called the negotiation period. The seller isn't obligated to fix anything, but you aren't obligated to proceed if they don't either. Now, with the market as competitive as it is currently, many buyers are having to go as is or waive various dollar amounts of the inspection findings. Be sure to ask us about the current market conditions and we can let you know what to expect at that time. In some states, it's customary for a seller to do a pre-listing inspection on their own and then either share the report with the buyers or fix what is found. In RVA, we don't see much of that at all, so don't expect to be able to ask the seller for an inspection report that they had performed. However, the seller is required to provide you with a termite inspection, and if the house is on well or septic system, they'll also provide you with a well water test and a septic inspection report. As an FYI, the well water test is literally just a test to make sure the water is safe to drink. That is it. It has nothing to do with the well pump or if it's hard water or rich in minerals, none of that. The septic inspection, though, is much more thorough, and a company will actually inspect the distribution box and even pump the tank, which is something that should be done every 5 years on a conventional septic system anyway. Now, I didn't even realize this was different in certain parts of the country, but let's talk about the length of time from contract to close. Meaning, when do you get to take possession of the home after you have signed a contract? I've heard that in certain areas up north, the closing process takes upwards of 90 days when you have a loan. That sounds crazy to me, to have something pending and under contract for so long. In Richmond, I would say the average length of closing is about 35 days of the loan. All cash purchases could in theory close within a few days, but unless the house is vacant, the seller usually needs time to move out. Additionally, the attorneys and closing companies need time to do title work, so even if you're paying cash, expect at least a 14 to 21 day close. Speaking of closing, here's some information regarding settlement companies. Here in Virginia, it's customary for the seller and the purchaser to have their own individual settlement companies, whether it's a title company or a real estate attorney. The seller will make an appointment to sign the deed and title paperwork on their own a few days prior to closing, and the buyer will sign all their paperwork with their own settlement company on the day of closing. FYI, it is possible to close on a property remotely, and we've assisted quite a few buyers with this process. So if you can't be in town for closing, here's what we do. Sarah and I will go do a final walk through the home and make sure no trees or meteors have fallen on it, and that the house is in the same condition as when you wrote a contract on it. We'll grab the keys from the lockbox and then give you the go-ahead, yeah, house is in great condition, you're good to close. A mobile notary will come to your home or another location of your choice and give you all the paperwork to sign. They'll then send that paperwork back to your Richmond settlement company, who will then file all the paperwork at the courthouse. I recommend keeping time zones in mind when scheduling your remote closing. You want to make sure your settlement company is open in case you have any questions. Here are a few more Richmond-specific things to be aware of. First, practically all chimneys, fireplaces, and flues convey an as-is condition. This language is practically standard here in Richmond, and it's because the real brick chimneys, especially on older homes, can be expensive to get operational if they currently aren't, and sellers don't want to incur that extra expense. So don't be surprised if you see that language in a purchase agreement. Next, Richmond is a moist state, and the most common place where the home inspector finds defects is in the crawl space. Mold and mildew is very common, and we see it all the time in crawl spaces. Nothing to freak out about, and treatment usually costs less than you think. Termites are also fairly common here in Richmond, and are another fun surprise to find in the crawl space. Again, the crawl space is where all home inspections go sideways. We highly recommend to get on a yearly maintenance/checkup plan with a pest control company, and don't be surprised if the termite inspection report states there was evidence of a prior treatment. So, lastly, real quick, I want to go over the entire home buying process and put all this information together so that you know what to expect. First, we find you a home, and then we submit an offer, negotiate with the seller, and get it accepted. Once accepted, we send the contract to your settlement company and to your lender if you're getting a loan. From there, you deposit the earnest money deposit with your escrow agent, and we schedule the home inspection. During this time, you'll also start the loan application and lock in your interest rate based on the advice of your lender. After the home inspection, we then negotiate the repairs or credits, and then you'll order the appraisal if needed. Midway through, you'll get your homeowner's insurance squared away and schedule utilities to be put into your name. The attorney's office will have some paperwork for you to fill out as well. The seller will provide us with any of their required inspections like termite, septic, or well water, and then towards the end of the process, you'll receive your total cash to close amount. Next, you'll get a cashier's check for that amount, or you'll send a wire transfer to your settlement company. Lastly, we'll do a walkthrough of the home on the day of closing, and then you will sign the documents. Bam, done. Congrats, you just bought your new Richmond home. So, there you have it. Let me know if any of this sounds crazy to you, or if you have some crazy real estate processes in your own state, leave a comment and tell us about it. If you have any questions about the home buying process here in Richmond, or if you're thinking about relocating to Richmond, be sure to give us a call. We've helped tons of families relocate to Richmond, and we can make your move stress-free and easy. I definitely appreciate you being here with me today, and I'll see you next time.